We're rolling?
Yeah.
Ah! You gotta scream.
Wait, do you
scream the
edit
nerves
this?
out.
Edit
We're gonna
this?
edit it a little bit.
Okay,
They'll probably
perfect.
get all that scream though. Okay, so today we're here. Finally, I'm back. Oh my God, I've missed doing the podcast so much. But yes, we're here back with the Troupe podcast. I have a very special guest today that goes by Lauren Poppin. I wanted to have Lauren on the show today because she's an amazing person. We have a great relationship. We have great conversations all the time about the dance industry, life, faith, everything, a little bit of everything. And also she's in a very unique moment in her career where she's pivoting from focusing on dance to more so focusing on choreographing and teaching, correct?
Yes, definitely.
And I think a lot of people can relate to that. And I remember that moment for me. So I kind of want to dig into that and what she's learned from dance, what she's experiencing and learning within choreographing and teaching. Like, it's a very unique moment right now. We're catching her right in the middle of it. So I think I'm even excited to hear your answers and where your mind has been. So that's what today's episode is going to be. And right now, you have gotten your first slot. Well, it's like a temporary slot.
Yeah.
But you're teaching at
Yeah.
Millennium. You're teaching the reggaeton slot.
Mm-hmm.
Why reggaeton? And also, what is reggaeton for people who don't even really know what that means?
So, reggaeton it's a little bit of an argument these days, I would say. But for the most part, reggaeton is a music genre.
Mhm.
It's not necessarily a dance style.
Yeah.
So it's almost like, you know how we have hip hop, but like hip hop is a dance style,
Yeah.
right? It's a little bit different. Reggaeton is a music genre, obviously. It's mostly music in Spanish, and it has like that really like fierce like drum almost beat into it, very similar to like reggae. That's
Right.
kind of where it comes from.
Right.
And a lot of time it gets mixed up, and a lot of opinions start coming out saying like, oh, reggaeton has to be this style, or it has to be this style, or it's this or it's that. It's literally a music genre.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can do whatever you want to it.
Right.
You can do hip hop to it. You could do jazz to it. Would I recommend ballet? Maybe not, but like I'm not against it, you know, like it can have so many different styles and fusions. And yes, of course, there's dances that are native to being danced to that music style,
Yeah.
but it doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be one way.
Right.
And I think that gets like lost in translation a little bit sometimes.
I think it's cool too because potentially y'all have the opportunity to define what it is. I think since it is growing more and more, everybody that I think is a part of this wave, it can kind of define it, which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I agree.
And why reggaeton for you?
You know, I actually, like, as for industry, like dancing in the industry, I didn't really get familiar with it. I've always loved the music.
Yeah.
Obviously, I've been listening to reggaeton for years and years.
Mm.
It's part of my culture. But Julio actually was the one that really started teaching reggaeton, like, at studios, like at Millennium, at T Millie. And I feel like he really created like a community.
Yeah, tell them about
And
who Julio is.
Julio, he's a choreographer. He's a teacher. He teaches at Millennium. He's the one that kind of started the Saturday 4 p.m. slot.
Mhm.
He's from Mexico, and
He's
great. He's a great person. He's a great person to learn from. And I just feel that he really did the hard work to create that community and like make it clear that reggaeton isn't just like one thing. It can be a lot of different things. And I feel like he's fought a lot of opinions and like people who try to tell him like you have to do this or you have to do that. And I was blessed enough to like join him in a time where he was really like going like for it, and you know, so not new to it, but like, you know, like fighting all those things, you know, kind of.
Yeah.
And I've just gotten to watch it and learn from him.
Yeah.
And also him being from Mexico, like he knows his stuff, you know.
Yeah.
I'm Mexican American, so it's a little different, you know, like, and so I don't know, I just respect him so much, and I respect like the culture, and like us Latinos, we really don't have a community, and like especially like Hispanic Americans, like we really have been, like, sorry to say, but like so whitewashed almost. And so I love learning from people from Mexico or from Peru or from like all these different places, you know, and seeing how they interpret it. But yeah, I started learning from him, and I just got really inspired and really into it.
Yeah.
And then I started doing a little more jobs in the industry with it.
Yeah.
And I just was blessed enough to be given the opportunity by him to have the chance to teach it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like a part of our culture, but I didn't know that it would like be something I would be leading in, but I just got really involved in it, and I'm really passionate about our Latino community because it doesn't really exist as fully as I would like it to.
Yeah, and definitely not here in LA. I feel like obviously like Miami has a big community over there.
But even then, it's not at the level that it should be, and the pay isn't where it should be necessarily for those specific Latino jobs,
Do you think that's coming? What do you think? I mean, this is a tricky question, but what do you think is the future for reggaeton? I mean, it's huge now. It's really huge now, and especially over the last probably 5 years, it's really exploded.
I think the problem is not that it's not big, or I think that the Latino community doesn't take it seriously enough, and we don't fight enough for higher pay or making sure that like our culture is like protected in a way, I don't see a lot of Latinos being booked on Latino jobs, so it's kind of just like an issue in general, the pay, the who's getting the jobs and things like that, so I don't feel like it's very protected, and I think that's kind of on us. We don't stick together as a community, I don't think. And also it's gonna take a lot of leaders, people like Julio, and people who are willing to like maybe struggle at first to like spread it to LA. It's gonna take some time, but it will be huge when people see like our passion and the way we do things and our music and the way we feel it. Like I don't know, it'll be huge when it does, but it's gonna take some time, and he's had his struggles, and I'm sure I'll have my struggles too. So I
think it's definitely it's coming. I mean, it's
already here, but it's just not the problem. From our point of view, I think, is that it's not being handled by people who know the culture, or that it's like embedded in us,
Right.
Which is
great. I know it's always been big. It's like, as far as like the music, it's always been big. But I mean, like, it's gone beyond just the like Latin community, I guess. That's what I mean
definitely
by like,
now.
It's more mainstream, I guess, than it ever has been before.
Yeah. Now we just need to make sure that it's not getting oversaturated, and that it's being protected and used in the proper ways.
Yeah, which is always tricky.
Yes, it's up for interpretation, but we don't want it to get watered down, if that makes sense. Like there's a certain passion and there's a certain vibe that Latinos have, and we start to lose that when we don't have people from the culture actually creating those things or being involved in them.
For sure.
And that goes for any culture.
Absolutely.
So that's what I'm a little passionate about when it comes to that.
I love it. And
even I'm like, I feel like I'm a like whitewashed too, obviously, because like I'm from here, but being surrounded by people who are from the other like countries and South American countries or Mexico, like all those places, like I'm trying to learn. Like I'm still being educated on my own culture because so much of it has been like washed down here, so we're all learning together.
I love it. I love to see it too. I love to see it. So who's in rotation? Who are you listening to right now? Like, what's your number one reggaeton artist, or just most recently, what are you listening to?
Years, like literally since I was beginning of high school, Karol G. Like I love her. Like I think she's great.
Yeah. What is it about her?
It's her music. And just like an essence that she has. Like I just think she's a baddie.
Yeah.
I genuinely just like her music. Like I think that that's mostly what that is for me. Rosalia.
Oh yeah, of course.
She's a whole different thing.
Yeah.
Like her style, her music, the way she loves her culture, the way she performs. Yeah. There's just like a certain like passion to it that I love about her. Her just in general is like one of my muses. Yeah. So I love her.
She's a real true artist. I worked with a lot of people. Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Her and Prince stand out to me, and they remind me of each other in a way. Like, I'm not saying Rosalie is the same as Prince, but just more so like just the dedication to the craft,
the ethic,
the dedication to the art form. Like, they know their history so well. They do the work. Like, I don't know. It's just all around. They understand art and they understand music, and they are an instrument. It's such a.
They're like actually passionate about what they do.
Yeah.
Which is kind of sad that that's like rare.
Right.
It's kind of crazy. You think that would be normal?
Yeah, but not so much. And she works crazy hard.
She's just great. Like, I think she's just great.
Yeah,
I love her.
She's special.
I would definitely want to dance for her. Or, I mean, choreograph is kind of crazy because she has a certain culture that she, like, you know.
She's very specific.
A lot of the, like flamenco, like things like that. Like, that's a part of her culture. Like, I'm not necessarily educated enough to choreograph that kind of stuff.
It's not even just that. Because
no, I know.
Her choreographers don't even really put flamenco movement on her.
Don't you think that, like, maybe they should?
They should.
That could be the difference,
for sure.
You know?
I think she would.
And not even that specifically. I don't even know if that's the proper term. But, like, you know, her music is so, like, I don't know. It's just so of that culture. Like, I feel like it should match.
Yeah. She has a very unique taste in what she wants to.
It's always different, too, I feel, a little bit.
Yeah. Because it's not like your typical
stage
choreography. It's more like, I don't even.
Artistic, like, almost.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know. It's like this abstract. I don't even know how to define it.
Abstract. No, it's like still feminine and sexy, but it's like abstract.
And
it's
sometimes almost like monstrous a little bit.
Yeah, like I completely get what you're saying.
Yeah.
That's why I like her, because it's different.
Yeah, I think that's the thing about being an artist, right? And that's the thing that kind of frustrates me in this age is like following trends and blending in and being a part of what's happening. Is such a thing that not nobody, but mostly people don't want to really stand out. They kind of want to just do what's already approved of. And I feel like that's like
whatever's trendy.
Yeah, that's anti-art. You know? Or not wanting to put your work out because of what people think. And I know we all deal with that. I know we've talked about that too. But I feel like to be a real artist, you're supposed to just put it out. Not everything needs to be well accepted by every single person. And you know what? I think that's what the thing is. I think that's the pressure. And that's the pressure too with young artists now. Is I think you feel like you have to impress the world. Or we have to be, that's like exactly what it is. Everybody from every culture, every single person has to approve it, approve of it. And I think when I was first coming up, it was first just like your community, like the people in my city. As long as they thought I was dope, that's good enough. Yeah. And then YouTube days, I just was thinking about people in LA. Yeah. But now when you post, it's the whole world. The planet. Because the reality is most of the time if things go well, or you know, any publicity is good publicity, whether it's good or bad. So now technically the whole world is kind of like giving their opinion, but now you just have to either decide for yourself if like you just take it all and it just is what it is, or you hide, you know, which I struggle with myself. Yeah, absolutely. I think everybody does. Absolutely. Yeah. I'm almost in a stage of like, I kind of, almost like enjoy. I almost want more people to not like what I have to say, or not like, because that's when I know I'm like fully being myself and doing something different. And exactly doing something different, because I don't know. I think if you're putting stuff out and every single person approves of it, you're probably pretty like vanilla. You're probably generic. It's like cringy, but like it's like when they say like, if y'all ain't got no haters, you haven't made it. Because it's true. Like if you're doing something, people are going to always, like majority is always going to vote for whatever is like in general, you know, like things that are common to them, you know. But if it's something different, like even think about Lady Gaga, like when she was dressing different. Yeah, she looked weird, but shoot, that like we know her because of that. Absolutely. You know, like you have to do things a little different sometimes, and the right people will be attracted to it. Yeah. But even the wrong people will attract more and more people to it because they'll be giving it so much attention. Absolutely. So absolutely, and we're definitely in that era of the internet for sure. Oh yeah, like I see people doing the most
obscure things, and it's like 21.5 million likes, and I'm over here like working so hard and one view. Hey. So, you know, whatever works. You just got to go for it, I guess.
One view is crazy.
One view. And then
you
there's
actually had your first viral video.
Yes. On accident.
Yes.
I guess.
I think that's typically how it happens, is on accident.
See what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
See, when you try really hard, sometimes things just don't work, but then you do something like you asked me to do that so last minute.
Mm-hmm.
And I literally was like, nobody's going to like this. No, I don't want to say. No, I definitely thought that, actually. Let's be for real. And look at what happened. It's just so weird. But also, it's not coincidence, because God has a plan for everything.
Absolutely.
So everything happens for a reason. So
yeah,
at the same
he
time.
knows what he's doing, and you know what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you weren't presented with the opportunity on accident, or you weren't, or for no reason. You know, I gave you the opportunity, and also feel like God was like, this is the move you need to make.
Oh, it was such a,
you know?
No, it actually really was. Like, everything aligned exactly how, like, God did that.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing is in my hands. And I realized it when that happened, because, I mean, like I told you, some stuff had happened with my job that I literally worked for like 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And that job was just like consuming me.
Mm-hmm.
And, well, just got rid of that job out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And then I had no clue what I was going to do.
Yeah.
And then I literally I was praying about it, and I was like, told my parents, was talking to God. I'm like, I think I'm just going to move back home.
Yeah, you hit me up in the middle of the night.
Oh my gosh, that's so true. Yeah. Literally, like, at like 2 a.m, I'm in Disneyland, and I text Antoine, and I'm like, hey, just to let you know, I'm pretty sure I'm going to like move back home and like quit dance. And he was like, that's great. He's like, let's not do that. And I was like, well, I think that's what's going to happen. And it's so funny, because then literally the next week, God was like, okay, apparently I'm going too slow for you. So let me just put the gas on it, because then you gave me that opportunity. And that's when Julio kind of started putting it in my head, like, I think I would want you to like sub my slot or like whatever. So then I'm like, whoa, this is like a whole other avenue that I always aspired to get to, but something was like telling me like, no, you're too young, like it's too, like you haven't done enough yet to like get to that point in your life. But God was like, no, like you're gonna do this. And it just all aligned perfectly. It was so weird, and I'm not where I want to be yet, but I can see it now.
Yeah.
I can see it a bit.
Yeah, I
now.
didn't even take you serious when you hit me up. I was like,
know.
okay, yeah, this.
I can be a little. I can be impulsive sometimes. Late night thoughts, you know. So, but no, you gave me that opportunity and literally like changed my life. You know, which you always stayed changing my life. But you know, I think the difference is, and like I have a question that kind of correlates to this later, but like, it takes a lot for somebody in your position to give somebody who doesn't have like as much experience or anything like a big opportunity like that, you know? And that's how, like, that's why I'm so thankful, because it's just like there are so many people that are still like kind of like running this industry, and it's kind of time for them to like step down. Respectfully, it's been a minute.
Wrap it up.
Like, land the plane, baby. Like, at this point, because I'm like, there's so many new ideas and great things that could make the stage or the industry so much better.
Yeah.
But because we're like still like 50 years deep, I'm like, let's pack it up. Let's give some new people opportunities, but they don't want to. So when you did that, I'm like, man, like, that takes a lot. Like, especially with Troupe, like, it's like your baby too, you know? So for you to trust me with that, you know?
Yeah.
I wanted to do it justice. I care enough to, you know? So thank you.
And that's all I want to do, is I just want to work with people who like really care.
Yeah.
I think that's what the world needs, is people who are creating things that they really actually genuinely care about. You know, we're in late stage capitalism, so a lot of people are just doing things for money, but that's a whole nother other podcast.
that's a whole different thing. Yeah.
But yeah, I think my gift for sure is that I can kind of see what's coming. I can see what's next. I can see who's next.
Yeah.
I kind of have a good sense of that.
Yeah.
And that's paid off pretty well for me in my career. That's how Kehlani happened. That's how Rosalia happened.
For sure.
And obviously I've made a career out of helping the next generation and whatnot.
And you have, like, literally changed so many lives. I don't even know. Which I have a question correlating to that later, unless you want me to ask it now.
We here. Might
Okay.
as well. Let's go. Go for it.
Hold on. Let me revert back. Let me see how I worded this.
You're good. Take your time.
So basically, like, how do you, because we've had conversations where it can be very, and I'm noticing this now, it can be very overwhelming being a teacher or like being the leader, because a lot of the time you have to kind of take on everybody's energy and kind of carry them a little bit.
Yeah.
And now I'm starting to notice that, like, even just for these few times that I've gotten to teach or teaching at Millennium, things like that, you know, it's a big responsibility, which is a lot of the time why a lot of us are scared to even take that step, because more success comes with a lot more like responsibility.
Yes.
And we're usually scared of that. That's usually why we don't take the next step, which I will say myself, I've been scared of that. And now that I'm in it, I'm like, I can do this, but it is a lot. So I guess my question was, like, how do you balance and maintain the weight of being a leader without getting overwhelmed or losing yourself?
That's really good. I would say humility. I think it's like I'm always in service, like first, like, to God, and then I'm always in service to the community.
Yeah.
So I think of it as more of an act of service than like
a job.
This is like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it does come with like pressure, and you do want to deliver, but I more so think about I take the pressure off myself, or I take the spotlight off of me, and I put it onto, okay, what do the people that I'm serving, what do they need right now?
Yeah.
You know? And how do I make that make sense? And then it's grown now, because now it's like not only the dancers, like, say, in the company, but also like, what does my team need? Everybody that's working with me, what do they need? What is the overall industry need? Where do we need to go next? And how am I playing my part in helping us get there? And it's just playing my part. I don't have to do all of it. Of course, there's many people doing their part, but what's my part? What's my input to this?
Yeah.
So I would say it's that, and then boundaries. You have to get really, really good with boundaries.
Yeah, like saying no to things.
Saying no to things, being alone when you need to be alone, not feeling like you don't need to be at everything. You need to be really selective of where you spend your time, where you spend your energy.
Yeah.
And refuel however you need to refuel.
Yeah.
Make sure you make that time. I schedule time. I schedule off days and rest time, and I schedule time to go and do things and not be so attached to this. I need to step away from it, and that creates kind of some balance for me. And it's also like I won't feel bad for that, because I have learned how important and how much that is a part of me working hard. You know what I mean?
It's like vital to even doing what you need to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I have to rest hard. I have to live hard.
You have to, like, live normal life
work
too.
hard. Yes. Because and that came from burning out so many times.
Yeah.
And then you just realize, like, this is just not a sustainable model. Something's got to change, and then you just change, but in a smart way, and you just play with your schedule. And it's all about scheduling and being really on top of your calendar. We're not usually good with that. In dance, or like most artists, you did this because you just want to be free. You don't want to have no schedules or deadlines or any of that kind of stuff.
Ooh, not me. If you look at my calendar right now, I got all them little colored dots.
Okay, good.
I like schedule my day to a T. Like,
very nice.
But that's because, like, my mom taught me that growing up, and I just, like, I need to schedule my days.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think that's important.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah, you're on it.
Not all the time, trust me, but because obviously little things get added in, you know, or whatever. But no, I've literally learned that in this last, like, month or two that I've been teaching. I'm like, I have to schedule things, because if I don't, like, I feel like I'm literally doing all the things I need to do up until the last second too. Like, and I'm also learning to, like, take time. Like, I have to schedule my hangouts, like, with people and, like, normal life stuff too, because I tend to be a workaholic. Like, if I'm choreographing and I know I need to choreograph something, I will literally use every free second I have to finish it until I like it, and then I burn myself out. Like, I've texted you and literally been like, I can't do this, you know, because I am very honest with my feelings and stuff. And yeah, so that's why I was asking, because I'm like, I tend to get really overwhelmed, and I think I am so new to this whole process while still being a dancer and still like working a normal job and trying to be a 23-year-old. Yeah. So like I tend to get a little overwhelmed, and sometimes I can be a little impulsive, like where if I have one bad day with the teaching thing, I'm like, oh, I'm just not meant for this, you know? So I'm like trying to teach myself like how to balance it all and maintain it in a healthy way, because I want to take care of it.
Yeah, I would probably say that that's the third thing is like, so the first thing is like being in service. The second thing is boundaries. And then the third thing is working on your mind and your confidence. Yeah. And your self-image and your identity every single day. Yeah. Like hardcore. I have to watch things that inspire me, that motivate me, that feed me, that make me feel like my best, most confident, superhuman self. Yeah. I have to do it every single day, because there's so many things that can take you out, help make you lose yourself, take you off course, especially in this industry. Like it's so competitive. There is so much going on. It's a mind game. And constantly. It is so much of a mind game. And sometimes people don't like you and you have no idea why they don't like you. And they won't tell you. It's just, it just
Thank you for coming. Okay, so am I ugly or you hate my dancing? Pick one.
Yeah, or it's that mind game of you're teaching and the room is not responding, you know, and it just is like, and you can't let that make you feel like I suck. They hate everything that I'm doing. You have to just decide to be confident and know like, this is fly and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. But then you also have to be aware sometimes of like, oh, this is not it. You have to know it for yourself. Yeah. You can't let people determine how you feel about your own work. You have to decide.
I think that's maybe where I'm struggling a little bit. And I think it happens in the process, not afterwards. Afterwards, I'm like, wait, this is kind of fire. And I'm like, I actually like this. And that might just be like a normal human thing. Like you unintentionally seek validation a lot of the time. Absolutely. And like, you know, you can be like, oh no, I'm confident enough. I don't need, no, we all, especially as performers, validation is kind of the whole point of why we do what we do. Like, you know, because we're performing, you know? But that's definitely something I've been like struggling with, and I'm like extremely honest with myself, like I said. And I'll be like, it's more in the process. Like afterwards, I'm okay. But like in the process, I'm thinking in my head, like, are they going to like this part? Like, should I even do this? Like, no, they're going to think this is stupid. Is this industry? Is this, like, I told you before, like, it feels loud. Like in my brain, like I just want to go like this sometimes. And I hate that. Like, I don't want to feel like that. So I guess I'm just, right now, it's like I need to get my process down when it comes to teaching. I have my process when it comes to dancing and learning other people's choreography. But now with teaching, I'm like trying to figure out like what works for me, what helps me get the job done, what inspires me, and what like doesn't hold me back. Yeah. So like I'm trying to figure that out right now.
That's good.
I think.
Honestly, I think I think it's great that you feel how you feel. I think it's great that you feel kind of I don't know, sometimes it can make you feel a little bit crazy sometimes.
But it's kind of good.
But it's good. I think I think really all that means is that you actually really care. You really care about it. Yeah. And I did have an era of that in my career where after every class I was so hard on myself. Yeah. And I was playing back the night every moment of the class over and over and over in my head. And how could I have said this different? How could I have taught this different? Should I have prepared different? I'm like reviewing and analyzing every single thing, but honestly I think that's what makes you who you are. I think that's what makes you a great teacher. I think so too. Yeah. It's a journey and it's a struggle, but I think most of us that really care about it and love it, like we all went through it, and that's just, it's super natural and normal. Yeah. And I think I need to recognize that it's also my personality. Like I'm a perfectionist and I'm a really hard worker. Yeah. So like, and I don't think that my choreography is necessarily where like I'm like, this is the best choreography ever. Like I know that it's going to get better and better as time goes on. Yeah. But like I'm just like right now, like
trying to figure out like my style, and I don't know. It's a very interesting process. I'm just like so new to it, and I have to give myself grace. Like when I do it, like telling myself like, okay, you need to like turn the music off, like just go like sit for a second and like get re-inspired or whatever. But like I guess what I struggle with is I tend to like take it so extreme. Like I'm like, oh, if it's not working right now, it's never gonna work, you know. Instead of just being like, you know what, I'm like fried from today, just try again tomorrow, you know. So I think I'm trying to learn how to do my process of choreography, because like I said, when I do class, like I feel very natural, very comfortable. I feel great after class normally. And I do feel like one of my stronger suits is like when the class is like low in energy, I really try my best to make them comfortable and bring it up. Like I feel okay doing that. But it's the beforehand, like even when I'm like putting on my makeup before class, I'm like sick to my stomach. I'm like, oh, I'm so nervous, like you know, like I want it to be good, like I care so much. So that's what I would say for that.
I love it. I'm like reliving my early teaching days through you as you speak right now.
I know, and it's like that's why I usually text you, because I'm like, I need somebody to tell me that this is normal, because it doesn't feel like everybody on social media makes it look like, oh, this is just how I choreograph, like this is easy, but it's like not. Like I'm like, even down to like I'll spend like 30 minutes on like one little pathway, and I'm like, unless this feels right, I cannot move on, you know.
Yes. So, as you should. I love it. I'm proud of you, and
thanks.
And I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah,
I definitely am happy
trying.
to hear that.
I'm out here trying.
So what made you decide to go this route? Because you were focused on dancer, going on tour, doing the thing, all that kind of stuff at first, right? Kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're like kind of. I don't know what that means.
I just say because I feel like you always have kind of talked about doing your own thing.
No, for
like
sure.
Every time I've had a conversation about it, like it just was like you were in between and trying to figure out what does that even mean.
Yeah.
You know, and what does that look like?
No, definitely.
So what is that for you? How do you know teaching and choreographing was right for you? Why did you make that pivot?
I think it's kind of like what you were talking about earlier. Like there's just certain people that feel called to do something different, and it's scary, but like I've always known. Like it's just something I've always known about myself, and even from high school and when I was like even before high school, I always knew I wanted to like own my own studio or be a teacher of some sort. It's just always been something that's like been on me. Like I love not necessarily being the leader, it comes naturally to me, but I just love that kind of role. Like I think that God created me to not stand behind somebody. Like if that makes sense. Like there's some people that genuinely love standing behind an artist on stage, and that's great. I've done it, but like to be honest, it didn't fulfill me in the way that like creating something that's mine is, you know, like I just always felt that there was something greater for me, but I was always like too scared, or like listening to other people's like paths in them. Like there's like this thing, you know, where they say you can't really be like a teacher in LA and a dancer at the same time. Like you'll only get labeled as one. And I just like was so scared. I'm like, oh, maybe when I'm like 28, I'll do the teaching thing, you know? And like, it's just funny though, because like, even when I've done like dance jobs and I am the dancer and stuff, it was great. But like, it didn't feel,
how you would do it.
Exactly. I literally would be like on a job with somebody, or even like, not to like, this is a hot take, but I'd be like in the room with a celebrity and I'm like, why am I out dancing you? And you go home to a penthouse or a mansion, and I look 100 times better than you and work a lot harder than you. And I'm the one going home still like making not even ends meet, you know? So it was like, it would like kind of create like almost like a resentment at the same time. And then I would come home and I'd just be so unfulfilled, because it's such a temporary little thing for me personally. I know it's different for everyone, but for me personally, I'd be like, man, like I would love to be the person that's like more in charge of it, or the one creating it. Like it would fulfill me more, you know? I don't know.
Yeah, I think everybody's called to different things.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not even about like a hierarchy, or this is better than that, or that's better than that, but it's more just like, I think it's better for you. You know what I mean? It's more aligned with who you are and what you want
Exactly.
and what you feel called to do. You know, I think some people are absolutely called to be a backup dancer,
Oh, 100%.
and they are inspiring generations. You know what I'm saying?
They're the ones on the
incredible at that.
stage inspiring people.
Yes,
Of course.
yeah. So it's just about, I think I felt the same. I felt the same way. It's just
Yeah.
about alignment. I knew I wanted to teach.
And I think it's also like that alignment, because I didn't know when it was going to happen, but I also was like scared
Mm-hmm.
of what one people would say, because I haven't like necessarily like I've done, and also I don't really post about jobs I've done, which is definitely my downfall, but like
You don't
but-
post about a lot of stuff, but we'll get to that.
scary, sorry. But like on the other hand of things, yeah, like I was always kind of scared that people were gonna be like, what, like you don't want to have like a dance career, you know, like you, or even like I remember back in the KM days, you would be like, close your eyes and imagine yourself on stage, or like there's like a spotlight on you, what are you doing? And I literally couldn't imagine myself being like the dancer. It was always me, like I would get more excited when you would be like, I think there was one time we were doing like a Thames dance or something like that, and you're like, okay, somebody tell me what you envision for this song. That's when I got excited. I was like, I don't know if you probably don't remember this, but like I had a whole thing. I was like, this is what I see for the music video. This is down to even like the outfit or whatever. But then you would be like, okay, what do you see for yourself like when you're on stage? And I'm just like, it's black. I don't see anything. Like I see more of like the creation part of it. Like,
Yes.
yeah, I don't know. So it's like I kind of always knew, but I just was scared.
Yeah.
I just was scared. And I think it literally, like most things, I feel like God like laughs at me. He's like, girl, like I've told you how long to do this or do that. And it literally takes him literally putting something in front of me for me to do it. So like that opportunity you gave me was literally the first thing. And I was like, okay,
Now
this is
it's
what we're
just-
doing.
Now it's just when it's not being presented to you, you got to go get it.
Yeah.
You got to go create it. You got to
Yeah.
go make it.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's the tricky part. That's the thing about this industry. Some things will be given to you. Some things will kind of just fall into your lap. But then you have to build on top of that to make a career out of it.
That's what it
takes
is.
adding like fuel to the fire. You got
Exactly.
to add and add and add and add it to it. You got to do your part to build your career, because you really have to build it brick by brick every single day.
And it's like a brand too now. So like leading into the social media aspect of it, that's definitely my downfall, because I will say like my personality, I'm like such a, like, even if you see me, if we go to a concert or if we go anywhere, I am like the last person to have my phone out. I want to just experience it. Like I'm definitely one of those people. And like especially in class, like thank God you come to my class and film, because like I'd rather literally just watch everybody and it will never be documented ever.
Right.
So I guess I'm trying to learn how to like kind of go against what I naturally feel for the sake of my brand. Like
Absolutely.
having to, like even when you had me fill out that survey, I'm like, wow, I don't think I've ever really thought about these things. Like I have a vision for it, but like this is what it's going to take.
Yeah.
To like take my brand to the next level, because it's a career, but it's also a brand now, because that's just a part of the world we live in.
Exactly.
So I'm trying to figure out what that means for me.
But I think that's where people need to start, is you need to get clear on what your vision is.
Yeah.
Like exactly what are you actually going after? Because I think people just have these like abstract of ideas of like,
Yeah.
I'll just do whatever comes.
Yeah.
But whatever is not always it.
Because
Like,
people
what-
need to remember you also.
Yeah.
And what is your brand? Like you can't be changing all the time.
Yeah. And you need to make a decision of where your career is going to go, or it'll just end up going wherever. You'll just end up in a place and be like, how did I get here?
Exactly.
This is not what I wanted. You need to
Yeah.
be clear on what it is you want. So that you can work towards a direction every single day and not just freestyle your life.
Right.
And then also that vision is what's going to inspire you to put in the work every day. Like the hard things, the challenges, what gets me through all of it is like, I know what I'm working towards. I know if I could just get past this and get on the other side of this,
Yeah.
I know what kind of life I'm going to be living. I know what kind of things I'm going to be able to create, the people that I'm going to be able to impact. And that is so exciting for me that it's bigger than the fear, or it's bigger than the challenge, it's bigger than whatever this thing is that's sitting in front of me that maybe I feel uncomfortable with or takes work. It's not bigger than what the goal is.
Yeah, agreed. You know? And I feel that now. Now that the choreography and teaching thing has been placed in my lap, I see it now. Like before, I do feel like I was kind of like freestyling because something didn't feel right in the dance aspect, and I knew that there was like something more, but I just didn't know. So I just like kept going, and luckily God did put it like and aligned it for me. Yeah. But now I know what I need to work towards a little bit more. So now it's just doing it. I think a lot of the times that's the hard part. It's like when you get a gym membership, yeah, you can work out, but it's getting there. That's like the hard part, you know?
Yeah.
And I think I think I just need to actually take action with all the things that I know that I need to do to like maintain it, because it's there now. But now how am I going to elevate it, and how am I going to maintain it?
What are those things that you need to do?
Definitely social media. And that goes with investing like in class videos and things like that, and being on top of that, regardless if I really want to do it or not. And yeah, I think sometimes you just have to sacrifice things that maybe you don't like really want to do, but for the sake of like elevating your brand and things like that, you have to do it. So I'm learning how to do that, because it is kind of not my personality to film everything and you know, whatever. But like, how are people going to discover me? Exactly. That's the day and age we live in. I have to conform to that, and there's nothing wrong with it either. Like I have to realize that, like, that's okay. And
you've always needed to market yourself some way, like
and I've never been good at it, or at least not consistent. I think that's the problem. I think when I do market myself, I think it's great. I think people like what I have to offer, and I think I stick with my aesthetic for the most part, but it's just the consistency part. I think as artists, like, or at least, how do I say this, me, for example, like, sometimes it feels like fake if like I'm posting like all this stuff, like I'm like, I'm on a timer, blah 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 blah, but it's like clocking in and clocking out for a job, kind of. Like I need to switch how I think about it, I think. You know, because I'm like investing in myself, and I'm sacrificing things for myself into my career.
And the thing is, we've kind of stepped into, I think if you're coming into dance, I think what people would need to realize is that you are stepping into a field where that is just required of you, you know. I don't think it's required for everybody. I think if you're in corporate, if you work a corporate job, you don't need to be on social media. But in this day and age of being an entertainer, social media is so important, you know. Before, other things were important, you know. Some of the things that used to be super important are not as important anymore, you know. Just like for like a music artist, the music video was everything before. And I'm not saying it doesn't matter now, but it doesn't matter like it used to. Like,
you can make a music video on TikTok.
You could literally sing in your bathroom. I think I even was like doing research on the girl you sent me, young Miko.
Oh, yeah.
Like her performances, her music videos, they're fine and whatnot. They do fine online. But the things that are biggest are just her in front of the camera at home singing her song. And that's it. That is her most viral videos. You get what I'm saying?
And it's kind of finding like that niche, or the little things that people like about you.
Exactly.
I think that's what I'm trying to find, because some of the things that I see that are doing great on Instagram or dance videos and things like that, I'm like, I don't really like that. Like, that doesn't fit into my aesthetic. But then I'm like, wait, I could totally create my own thing and make it a thing and make people like it. So right now, I think that's the time I'm in. It's like, okay, I like in real life, I have the opportunities to like teach and do these things. But now it's like, how do I reach a bigger audience, and how do I be consistent on social media so that people who aren't here physically understand and want to follow me in that way? And still doing it in a way that's authentic to me, and not being like oversaturated. Because that is one thing I do not want. Like, even with the nasty thing, like, you know, that dance did great, but like I didn't want it to get like super, like, whatever I create, I want it to be great, and I want it to be done great too, you know. Like, I want people to want to do it justice, because I don't want people to be like, oh, I could just like do that, you know. You know what I mean? Like, I want them to, but like I want there to still be like a certain level that's expected for it. Does that make sense?
It does. I kind of have like a counter argument, but tell me more about that.
I guess what I mean is like, I don't want it to be like I want to have a social media presence, but I want it to be like still respected in a way that like the dance community is still respected from it. Like, you know, like how now like TikTok has kind of oversaturated the way that people view what dancers are. Like, I don't want my stuff to get mixed up in there and just anybody be like, oh, well, it's not like anybody could do it, you know? I guess that's what I mean. Like, I want to be so specific. Like, I want anybody to like it, but I want it to still be respected and not like oversaturated. Does that make sense?
That makes sense. That makes sense.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's good. No, it is good. I'm just thinking, I think that's good. Like, in general, I get what you're saying. I think it's just you saying that I don't want anybody to be able to do it.
Oh, yeah, that sounds bad. That's not what I meant. But yeah.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying. And my counter argument was going to be that I think sometimes people think great art is about complexity.
Oh, no.
You know?
No, because I've even told you before, even with the nasty thing, that's not complex choreography. It's not. It's just different. And it's like, I want, like, it's kind of classy. It's kind of classic. It's like classic stage choreography, kind of. And that's what I like about it. But it's like, at the same time, like, I don't want it to be like this move, you know, like, you know, I don't know how to describe what I'm trying to say. It's like,
I'll say this though. I think you need to know how to do both as a choreographer.
Yeah.
Always and forever. You know, the most iconic choreography and most iconic music video is Thriller. And my uncle can do the Thriller dance.
No, that's true.
You know, and I'm not saying that we should always be doing that kind of movement, but I just mean, you know, like, my uncle can't do Smooth Criminal, probably. You get what I'm saying? But there is a time and a place to know how to create something that is relatable and accessible for anybody. And it can be a moment. I think I'm just saying this for anybody who wants to be a choreographer one day. You need to know how to do both. You need to know how to hit a step that's like okay, it's just, I respect it when I watch it as a general public. I respect them, like, oh, they dancing for real. Yeah. And then you also need those moments where the general public feel like they can join in, like they can be a part of it.
Like, there's definitely a time and place for both.
Exactly.
Like, I would say, like, if I'm choreographing for like an artist, like, that would be when you need to have like those, like, that one step that people are like, oh, this just like repeats. I totally understand that. Yeah, and I think also what I'm saying, like, comes from like the fear of like my peers too. Like, there's also that, like, you know, because sometimes like people be choreographing and it's like crazy choreography. I'm like, is that what I should be doing? But it doesn't feel right to me. I like more like classic, like, stage type. Like you said, Thriller. I'm like, yeah, that's iconic. Like, I would love to do something like that. But still, like, I don't know. I want it to be upheld by like higher level dancers too. Like, I want it to be respected all around. Yeah, absolutely. You know? Yeah, I think this is a great topic because I think this is a big part of why a lot of people are afraid of attacking social media. Yeah. Because they feel like they have to come off perfect. They have to come off like I'm like already at the top of my game. You know what I mean? And I think people are still stuck in a mindset of a social media that doesn't exist anymore. Yeah. And an expectation that doesn't really exist anymore. And it's more than, this is what I keep trying to encourage people to do, is make it not just about dance. Every artist right now has to understand how to connect with people via social media. Yeah. And how to tell their story. And that's how you build a real brand, is through story. And it's through just who you are as a human being. Yeah. And dancers, historically, we've never really been comfortable with that because it's never been expected of us. Yeah. Every other artist, they're going to get interviewed. They're going to have articles written up on them, things like that. So they're used to telling their story. They're used to having to communicate and relate to people, right? Yeah. But dancers, we've just always been like the silent artists. And we've also been like, people don't really interview us like that.
until now. It's starting to happen now.
Yeah.
But we've never been on those, I don't know, talk shows or those radio shows.
Yeah.
Right? But since we haven't been, and since we still hardly are, we need to create it for ourselves. We need to create that content.
For sure. And the social media is going to be the way to do that.
Absolutely.
For sure. Yeah. So I guess maybe I'm just trying to find the balance between being, what's that word? Being like digestible to the general public, but also being
respected
like
by your peers.
respected by my dance community.
Yeah,
That's exactly what I'm trying to say, I guess.
Yeah.
Throughout this whole thing, it's like trying to make choreography that I know will push my peers if they come take my class, and will push against the grain. But like you said, will also, like, the general public will be like, man, I wish I could do that. Like, maybe I can. And they get up and they try.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You know? So, yeah, I guess it's just trying to find that balance.
Yeah.
Like, I want to do both, but it's very difficult sometimes.
I'll ask you this. And I'm going to ask you this because when many dancers think about approaching social media and they have that ick feeling, it usually comes from thinking about, like, the worst person that they know on social media that annoys them and creates content in a way that they don't like, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's very important to focus on the people that are creating content in a way that you do like, that you do find fits exactly what you said, that they are respected, but they know how to be relatable and connect with people as well.
Yeah.
Who would you say, and also for me, I'll study people in and outside of my industry, right?
Yeah.
So who would you say are some people that have an approach to social media that you really enjoy, that you like?
Okay, there's a couple, and they're kind of all over the place, not just dancers.
Great.
Dancer-wise, I would say Isabel. I think that she's always marketed herself in a way that's like her dances will go viral, but to like the general public too. But if you go and take the class, it's going to be hard. Like it's going to be a push. You know, that's exactly what I want. Like I want it to be like that. And it's not necessarily that like people at home are like, oh, I can do that. They're just like, man, this is just so good. Like I just want to watch it over and over again, you know? So I think dance-wise, like career-wise, I really respect her in that way because she also like, she even did like Usher's residency while still being a choreographer. So like I like that. I think that she put in a lot of hard work, but she mapped it out really great for herself. And I like her brand too. Like even like Caps University, like even the logo and everything, I think that's great.
Yeah, she's sick. Love you, Isabel.
Yeah. Hi. As for like other people, like Brittany Broski, she's like a really funny like social media. I love her because she's so relatable. Like she literally breaks all like barriers of like I'm a social media, like this, my life is perfect, blah blah blah. Like she breaks that. She's like, no, I'm just like a really embarrassing like normal girl, like I don't care, and she'll just post anything. And I think that's so great. Like I want to be like that too. Like I want to seem like a human, but also like superhuman when you see me dance. Like I want there to be that balance. I like that. Like when I'm dancing, I'm this person, but when I'm off camera, I'm like somebody maybe different. Not different, but like a little more personable. Like, you know, I'm able to like turn that switch on, which I think is kind of how I am anyways. But like, how do I do that on social media now? You know, because I do be a little shy. Like I could definitely make videos of me doing things, but like I'm just like, or I couldn't. I could just not do that too. So now it's just like I said, just doing it. That's the difficult part. So I don't know. Yeah,
you got to put yourself to work. And it shouldn't feel like work. It shouldn't always feel like work.
No.
But I think initially it feels like I have to work to doing this.
That's my transition right now.
Yeah.
It's the connecting the social media and the real life.
Yeah.
I think.
You know who I like though, who I think does it really well is actually Rosalia. I think she does a great job.
Oh yeah, no, like her Instagram dumps, I'm like that like normalizes her because everybody does those.
Yeah.
And then you see her like her little cute little food thing. She'll post like a little like photo like that. Like yeah, no, I love that. I think she's great about that.
She shows a lot of her personality. Her TikTok too.
Her TikToks too.
She shows a lot of her personality.
Even like when her and Rao were together, like she would post like normal couple TikToks, and I'm like, yes, exactly. I hate when celebrities act like they don't know that they're dating. I'm like, We all know. Don't be weird.
It's out there.
Like,
I love don't be weird. Yeah. So I think that's good. I think people can take something from that. It's like a symbol. Like, say you have those 3 people, and then it's like, okay, this is the direction. I'm going to ignore all the other stuff that annoys me.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to go more in this direction. I'm going to get close to this in my own way, obviously, with your own personality, your own style, your own approach to it.
It's figuring that out right now, I think.
I love it. Matter of fact, who are your like top 5? We talked about kind of like social media people. Who's your top 5 Latin performers ever of all time?
Well, Selena, obviously.
Of course, number 1.
She's just my muse in general.
Yeah.
She's like my number 1, which I put that on the survey. Fashion, and also I think she represents me great.
Yeah.
Because she's a Mexican American, and like I feel like we have our own kind of culture that like maybe like people who are actually from Mexico don't understand. They're like, y'all are fake. Julio tells me that all the time. But like, you know, like it seems kind of like we're like fake, but like we have our own culture, like especially even like where I'm from, like up by the bay and like the Central Valley, like my grandparents have their own like version of Mexican American culture. So she's definitely like a huge inspo, and also she just was a triple threat.
Yeah, she's fire.
Sings,
she
dances,
could just
acts.
She could just freestyle and
that was
go
the thing.
Crazy.
Like, oh my God, could you imagine? Like, I couldn't even imagine that. This is the one person I think I would really want to stand behind. Like, I would want to be her backup dancer for sure. Like, she's everything. I love her, and I just, so much of her reminds me of like a lot of my background and how I grew up.
Yes.
So I love her. Shakira, obviously. She's still doing great. Look at her. She's literally she looks hot still.
Yeah.
She's great. All time. I would say those 2 mainly. I'm like trying to think of other. It's hard to think of like female ones, really.
I think it could be female or male.
Yeah.
It is hard. I'm trying to think of performers like, I don't know. I don't even know if any others that really get down like that.
I mean, there's performers, but not necessarily like having to do with dance or anything.
Let's just give just performer, not, even if they don't dance.
I don't even know. I can't even think of any right now. I feel like as a Mexican American, like we don't. I think you would have to know like the other country stars, if that makes sense. Like those Latin stars. I'm not educated enough on those. I more so just know like our day and age kind of ones.
Got you. Those are a solid 2. Those are an iconic 2.
Yeah, kind of, but
is J-Lo accepted in there?
I'm not even gonna comment on that one.
You don't want to talk about J-Lo?
I'm gonna get canceled. I'm gonna get kicked out of the dance industry if I give my opinion on that. So. Oh
yeah. We'll just move right on past that.
For the sake of my career and possible future bookings, I love her. So. Maybe cut this whole part out.
No, we're posting that clip also, exclusively.
It's like what time? Oh my gosh, it's already 6:40.
Yeah, we got to get you out of here. You got to get to rehearsal. I want to leave off on a couple of things. One is like, what do you think is the difference between a recreational dancer and a professional dancer? If you could make that clear for anybody listening, what does it like really take to advance to that level?
Work ethic. I think that when you just want to do... Okay, so a recreational dancer is definitely just somebody who pursues dance in the way of like just like a social aspect in their life, maybe a hobby, maybe just something that they do to pass the time. When you're a professional dancer, you're working at it. You're putting like blood, sweat, and tears into it. I think like definition wise, recreational is just for the purpose of social aspects, hobbies, maybe maintaining your health, like almost like a workout kind of, like it's giving Zumba, like that type of vibe. Whereas like professional dancing, that's when you're trying to make a career out of it. You're trying to make money off of it. Like you're now pursuing it as a profession, hence professional dancer. I think that a lot of people want to call themselves a professional dancer, but they just want things to be handed to them. But when you're a professional, you have to, like, it's going to take going the extra mile and putting in the work to book the jobs that will make you a professional, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
That would
What do you think you see? Okay, so let's, instead of recreational and pro, what do you see as the difference between, like, class dancers or class dancing versus professional dancers and professional dancing? Like a professional space versus just a class space, even if
they want to pursue professional.
Yeah, exactly.
I would say that when you're a professional, I think that is when you have taken that next step of actually having the experience of, like, doing jobs or experiencing it, or being in those rehearsal spaces where it's a different kind of pressure. It's like being able to handle a certain type of pressure. And that could be the pressure of a rehearsal space, quick changes, being on set, having changes on set, going on a stage, having to remember an hour's worth long of choreography and spacing and learning how to interact with the crowd. I think that that's like something, it's almost like a little medal, kind of. Like it's something you gain when you go like that extra step of like actually experiencing it and completing it and like being proud of yourself from it. And I think it's also like a way that you hold yourself. Because you hold yourself that way in anywhere you are, like even in a class, even if you're just having a conversation with another dancer. I think that that's what makes you a professional. Like you just hold yourself different. It's like a different, you hold the room in a different way. That's what I would say.
So for those listening that want to pursue this professionally, how do they bridge that gap?
I think,
how should they say they're headed to training right now, they're headed to class right now, what do they need to do differently than maybe they typically do?
I think that you need to treat every class or training program almost like it's an audition, almost like you're going for the job right then and there. Because if you just go in with the thought of like, oh, I'm just going to training, or I'll see my friends there, like no, like a professional is going to want to be a professional in any room that they're in. So that means like on your way there, you're already tapped in. Like me, I will, if I know that the teacher's teaching to a certain song or there's a certain vibe, I'm listening to either that song on repeat for the first, I will literally play that song on repeat while I'm getting ready on the car ride there, or I'll play music that's in that aspect because I'm getting in that vibe. To professionals look like professionals. That means your hair better be good. Your makeup's on. You hold yourself a certain, like even just like your presence and your appearance should hold like I'm a professional, like I look fly. Like, and that goes for training spaces too. Like I think that's one thing I will say about myself. I feel that anytime I go into any training space or anything, I want to look good. Because why would I want to look, you know, like it gives like I do this, you know.
I think people sleep on that heavy.
It's
because
literally
they're like,
such
it should
an
just be
important
about
aspect.
my dancing. What do I look like?
It's
Why
not.
does that matter?
When you go into an audition, if it should just be about your dancing, why do you not go to an audition with no makeup? Oh, that's right. That's when you pull out the MAC and the Rare Beauty. That's when you start looking extra good. And that doesn't mean you have to pack on a bunch of makeup. Whatever makes you feel good and look fly. I've seen girls that come on with no makeup, but like their hair is slicked back. They got big hoops. Like, you know, it's just figuring out what looks good for you. So physically being professional, the preparing, like even when I did the Tinashe job, like Antoine literally told me like, because I had to learn like 13 or 14 numbers in 2 days, and I asked him, I said, how do I even prepare for this? And he was like, you have those songs on repeat even when you sleep, so that way your unconscious mind even knows the choreography. And I did. And I remember being on the plane ride and I was like asleep, and all I had was like X
the mix playing.
And like in my dream I'm like, you know, like it takes like preparing, it takes going the extra mile before you even get on the stage. Like that's like the final product, you know? So I think it's the preparing, making sure you look great. And I think it's how you hold yourself too, like how you talk. Like I don't think anybody's going to want to work with somebody who just like frivolously like yaps, you know, like there's, and don't talk about other people. Like, you know, like it's just being very professional, like how you would at work. Like you wouldn't just be like cussing up a storm at like a normal job, you know, like it's just how you hold yourself and how you prepare. And it's all the other stuff, I think, besides just being on the job. Yeah. It's like all the stuff that prepares you to go to class and how you hold yourself and how you take class, your process, and how you want the teacher to perceive you. Because if you're just like acting like, oh, this is just another class, the teacher's not going to want to work with you because that's how you would be in a rehearsal. So exactly. I think it's like the little things like that that are not actually little.
No, not at all. It's really everything.
Yeah.
Like dancing is like, being a good dancer is like really should be their prerequisite. Like
that's
if you're in LA, we expect you to be able to dance.
Right,
like
it's
if
all
you
the
said
other things.
If you're saying I'm doing this, you know, or if you show up to audition, whatever, it's like that's kind of expected of you already. So what's all the other things?
It's all the other things that are going to take a little bit more work. Like me, when I come home from work and I'm about to, even when I'm going to troupe, like I come home from late from work and I'm like, you know what, I could nap right now, I could eat. No, I'm going to go get ready and make sure I look good because I know they're going to have that camera out. Like, you know, because no matter what I'm involved in, I want to be great at.
Yes.
You know, it's like that. And it's also like a want. It's just like a passion you have to be like, I want to be the best in that room. I want to look the best, whether it's appearance wise or dance wise or whatever. You just have to want it. Yeah. That's what separates you.
I absolutely agree. I love it. Well, this has been a beautiful conversation.
Yay!
I appreciate
Thank you for
so
having
much.
me. I know. I'm like, I don't know. It's not that I have like the best advice, but this is just my brain. This is how it works. And hopefully people can resonate with it because I feel like I'm like young and in the industry and still so new. And I have questions and I have like things that I've seen. And hopefully 10 years from now we can do another podcast and maybe I'll be the one that has like a lot more experience. But not than you, but like, you know, like more experience than I do now, and maybe my perspective will be different. But
well, we'll check in with you here and there.
Hopefully people can relate, and they're like, I had that question too, or yeah, girl, I felt the same. I don't know.
Where's your rehearsal at?
Millennium.
Oh yeah, you got a little ways to go. You got to get out of here.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I love you so much.
Love you.
Thank you. This is another episode of the Troupe Podcast with Lauren Poppin. Peace.
Y'all enjoyed. Bye.
Thank you all for listening. Thank you for tuning in again. If this is your first time, welcome. We got a lot more in store. I'm very excited to be back. If you enjoyed it, please share it out. Make sure you subscribe for sure. Click that subscribe button. Also, if you have any questions that you want the next guest to answer, put it in the comments. Much love. Thank you for tuning in and see you soon. Hey.
Hi. Hey. Hey.
How'd you feel about your voice the first podcast we did?
Never listened to it.
No, that's a viral video.
A viral video of me drinking water? I feel like I was in a commercial. I actually really needed that.